Hello, Virgo. Completely, not partially, not they're interesting and I'm attracted. Completely, meaning they've occupied territory in your heart you didn't know was available, meaning thoughts of them interrupt other thoughts, meaning their presence reorganizes your internal landscape, meaning you're not in control of this. And that lack of control that takes over rather than you chose is what makes this crazy. Because you didn't choose this, didn't plan this, didn't decide that someone younger would be person who dismantles your defenses and creates feelings you might not want to feel. It just happened. They just existed in your orbit, and existence was enough, their energy, their perspective, their way of being, their specific combination of qualities that shouldn't add up to complete heart takeover but somehow does. And younger matters. Age difference creates complication you'd avoid if you could, creates questions, creates judgment from yourself, from others, from society that has opinions about age gaps and who should be with whom. But heart doesn't consult those opinions, doesn't check age compatibility before deciding who matters, just responds to person, to energy, to connection that feels right even when logic says it's wrong. Here's what younger reveals about the specific complexity. Could be slightly younger, few years, enough to be noticeable but not enough to be shocking, enough to create should I be concerned about this, but not enough to create obvious barrier. And slight age difference creates specific anxiety. Am I being inappropriate? Am I fooling myself about whether this is okay? Would others judge? Would they judge themselves for being with me? That anxiety is low level but constant, is background noise questioning whether feelings are acceptable even though feelings exist regardless. Could be significantly younger, decade plus, enough to be different generation, enough to create obvious gap in cultural references, life experience, life stage, priorities. And significant gap creates louder questions. What am I doing? What do we have in common? What does this say about me that I'm attracted to someone so much younger? Am I predatory? Am I pathetic? Am I having crisis? Those questions are harsh. Our self-judgment activated. Our internalized societal messages about what's acceptable and what's suspicious, creating internal warfare. Inhale could be younger and in different life stage. They're building career while you're established. They're exploring while you've already explored. They're in growth phase while you're in consolidation phase. And different life stages create practical complications beyond just age, create questions about compatibility, about whether relationship can work when life rhythms are different, about whether timing is wrong, even if feelings are real. What takes over your heart means psychologically. Takes over means you're thinking about them constantly. They intrude. They interrupt work. They occupy mental space when you're supposed to be focused on something else. You're aware this is happening. You're aware it's affecting you. And awareness doesn't stop it. Can't think your way out of thinking about them. Takes over means you're feeling things you didn't authorize, didn't give permission for, didn't decide to feel. Joy when they text, disappointment when they don't, excitement about seeing them, anxiety about whether they feel same, jealousy if they mention others, hope about future, fear about complications, entire emotional range activated by one person, by younger person, by person you might have dismissed as not your demographic if heart had consulted brain before responding. Takes over means you're behaving differently, making excuses to be where they are, texting more than you normally would, checking their social media, dressing differently when you might see them, noticing things you'd normally ignore. Behavior changes, reveal investment, reveal that heart. Takeover is affecting actions, not just feelings. Reveal you're in this whether you planned to be or not. Takes over means you're questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself, about your type, about your preferences, about what you want, about what's possible. I thought I wanted someone my age. I thought I wanted someone established. I thought I was done with uncertainty. I thought I knew what I needed. All those thoughts are being challenged by reality that younger person is creating feelings established, same age person never created, and that challenge is destabilizing, is rewriting assumptions, is forcing reevaluation of everything. Why this is crazy thing, what makes it feel insane. Because it's unexpected. You weren't looking for this, weren't open to this, might have actively resisted this if you'd seen it coming. But you didn't see it coming. It arrived. It took over before you could defend against takeover. And now you're in feelings you didn't plan for with person you didn't expect. That surprise, that being caught, creates sense of crazy, creates how did this happen, creates disorientation because you're operating outside your plan, because it contradicts what you think you should want someone your age, someone in same life stage, someone who makes sense to family and friends, someone who doesn't create complications. But should and want are different things. Should is logical, want is emotional, and want is winning over should. And that feels crazy because you're supposed to be adult who can control who you develop feelings for. Except you can't. Because heart doesn't operate on should, operates on response, on connection, on chemistry, on mysterious alchemy that makes one person matter when logic says they shouldn't. Because it creates complications you'd avoid if you could, creates judgment to manage, creates questions to answer, creates gap to navigate, creates explanations to provide. And you know these complications are coming, can predict the challenges, can see the obstacles. But knowing doesn't stop feelings, doesn't make younger person less compelling, doesn't make heart takeover reversible just because it's inconvenient. Because you're vulnerable. Being in love or heading toward love is always vulnerable, but being in love with someone younger adds layer, adds fear of being judged, fear of being predatory, fear of being foolish, fear of being rejected because of age. That vulnerability is exposed, is raw, is creating anxiety alongside joy, is making crazy feel crazier because emotions are more intense when stakes include potential for specific kinds of judgment. This reflection invites you to consider what specifically about this younger person has taken over your heart. What qualities, what energy, what way of being, their optimism, their openness, their different perspective, their way of seeing you, their lack of cynicism, their energy, their specific personality traits. Identifying what attracts you helps you understand if attraction is about them specifically or about what younger represents: freshness, renewal, escape from your age. If it's them specifically, if their individual qualities create attraction, that's more solid foundation. If it's what younger represents, that's projection that might not sustain. This reflection invites you to consider what fear is loudest when you think about actually pursuing this. Fear of judgment, fear of being inappropriate, fear they don't feel same, fear of hurting them, fear relationship won't work, fear you're having midlife crisis, fear of what family will think. Identifying primary fear helps you address it, helps you distinguish between legitimate concern and internalized judgment, helps you decide if fear is wisdom or just obstacle, what you should do with heart that's been taken over. Don't immediately dismiss feelings because of age difference. Don't use age as excuse to avoid exploring what's real. Don't let internalized judgment prevent you from investigating whether connection is genuine. Age creates complications, but complications aren't impossibilities, are just factors requiring more intention, more communication, more courage. If connection is real, if they're creating feelings that are genuine, and deep, age is variable to navigate, not disqualifier. Do examine your motivations honestly. Are you attracted to them specifically, or are you attracted to being younger by association? Are you seeking escape from your age? Are you avoiding something in your demographic? If attraction is about escape or avoidance, that's projection. That's using younger person as solution to internal problem. That's not fair to them and not sustainable for you. If attraction is about them, their specific qualities, their specific energy, that's more legitimate foundation. Do consider their perspective. They're younger. They might have different needs, different timeline, different life goals, different relationship capacity. Are they actually interested? Are they available? Are they in position to handle relationship with someone older? Are they mature enough for what you need? Don't project reciprocal feelings. Don't assume they feel same. Don't burden them with your feelings before assessing whether they're even interested. And communicate if there's mutual interest. If you've verified they're interested, if age gap is something you're both willing to navigate, if attraction is mutual, be honest. I need to be honest about what I'm feeling. I know age difference is factor, but I'm finding myself very drawn to you. How do you feel about that? Direct, vulnerable, honest, giving them choice, giving them power to respond authentically, not from pressure, what they might be feeling if interest is mutual. They might be excited, might find you attractive because you're older, might appreciate stability, experience, confidence, different energy than peers provide, might be in their own, what a crazy thing, experiencing someone older taking over their heart when they expected to want someone their own age. They might be nervous about what friends will think, about whether family will approve, about whether age gap means relationship can't work, about whether you're serious or just interested in temporary thing. Their nervousness mirrors yours. Different specific concerns, but same underlying anxiety about whether connection can survive complications. They might be confused about whether your attention is appropriate, about whether they're reading signals correctly, about what you want, about whether pursuing this is wise. Confusion requires communication, requires you being clear about intentions if you decide to pursue, requires honesty about what you're offering and what you're seeking. They might be uninterested, might see you as friend or mentor or colleague, but not romantic possibility, might not be attracted, regardless of how attracted you are. Uninterest is valid, is data to receive, is answer that closes door, is outcome you have to prepare for AS possibility even while hoping for different outcome. What relationship with younger person actually requires if both choose it? Honesty about gap and what it means. Honest about different experiences. Honest about different cultural references. Honest about different life stages. Honest about complications. Can't pretend gap doesn't exist. Can't ignore practical implications. Have to acknowledge and navigate actively boundaries with people who judge. Because people will judge, will make assumptions, will have opinions, will project their discomfort. Both of you need to be solid enough in choice that external judgment doesn't destroy internal connection. Need to be clear why you're together. Need to trust that connection is valid regardless of others' opinions. Awareness of power dynamics. You're older, likely have more resources, more experience, more social power in some contexts. That creates potential for imbalance. Power imbalance isn't automatic deal breaker, but requires active management, requires you being careful not to use power inappropriately, requires them maintaining autonomy, requires both monitoring for ways age might create unhealthy dynamics, and flexibility as you both evolve. You're at different life points, will change differently, will have different needs at different times. Relationship needs to be strong enough to accommodate evolution. If connection is genuine, if both are choosing freely, if power dynamics are managed, if love is real, age is just detail, important detail maybe, but not disqualifying detail. The power is yours. It always has been. What a crazy thing someone younger completely takes over your heart. And when this happens, when feelings arrive uninvited, when age gap creates complications, when logic says no but heart says yes, your job is examining motivations honestly, considering their perspective, communicating if mutual interest exists, managing internalized judgment, navigating actual complications thoughtfully, and recognizing that AGE creates challenges, but challenges aren't impossibilities if connection is genuine. Take what resonates, softly release the rest, trust yourself. And listen, heart takeover feels crazy because you're not in control. because person who's mattering shouldn't matter based on logic you've constructed. But real love, genuine attraction, authentic connection doesn't consult your logic, doesn't check your preferences, doesn't verify compatibility before arriving. Just arrives, takes over, creates feelings you didn't authorize. And those feelings, regardless of age gap, deserve consideration, deserve honest examination, deserve chance to be explored if mutual and healthy. Don't dismiss automatically because younger, but don't pursue automatically because feelings exist. Examine, communicate, navigate honestly, then decide based on what's real, what's healthy, what's possible, not based on what should be, based on what is. Take care.